Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel Anime Land, where we specialize in analyzing characters from the anime series One Piece. Talking about human emotions, which can be mentioned as family love, friendship love, and an extremely important emotion that helps us develop better every day, that is teacher and student love. It is because there are teachers who have guided us that we can learn valuable lessons. Yet there are students who are not grateful and willing to betray the person who raised them. And in the One Piece world, there are many similar anti-teacher cases. We can easily come across names like Blackbeard Teach. Rob Lucci and CP9 betray their teacher. The shipbuilder is Iceburg. Kanjuro betrayed Oden, Orochi betrayed Yasuie. Recently Kuzan also joined the team of betrayers, and there is a possibility that there will be more Zoro in this list. Maybe only Zoro got everyone's support, the rest were mercilessly cursed. In the case of former Admiral Aokiji, this is a rare marine whose fans in the pirate world are the good guys, the marines are the bad guys. So many people expressed regret when Kuzan killed the naval hero Garp and devoted himself to the Blackbeard state. But there's no denying that Kuzan's ability is extremely powerful. Kuzan is not a pirate nor does he join the Revolutionary Army. In my opinion, Kuzan is on the neutral side, does not join any faction or organization. Act only on what you think is right. Today Kuzan can be an enemy, but tomorrow can turn to help you if both sides have the same ideal. Even while joining the Blackbeard Pirates, in chapter 699, Kuzan tells Smoker that after leaving the Marines, he has accomplished many things that could not have been done before without being bound by his position. Kuzan saw many unusual things that opened his eyes. Very simple, an admiral who voluntarily leaves headquarters will surely be scolded, so Garp hates that position and always refuses. It's to be free to do as you please. Kuzan is now freed like Garp, or even better, given his military card back like the sword members, but Aokiji is no longer serving in the military. A person who doesn't have a strong appetite for power, Aokiji acting this way is a bit of a surprise. Aokiji and Akainu have had disagreements since the O'Hara incident. Kuzan always stands between his own justice and the absolute justice of the Navy, so he killed his best friend Saul, but spared Robin. One side is to complete the mission. Kuzan's ship is still shelling and Saul betrayed the Navy, so it must be dealt with. The other side is friendship. Letting Robin live is Saul's wish, so Kuzan helps his friend complete it. Although I don't know if that's right or wrong because he used to call it vague justice, it seems that Aokiji wants to seize power to change the justice of the Navy instead of letting Akainu take over and do everything extreme. Unfortunately, the Blue Pheasant failed. Since then Kuzan decided to act independently to join Sword but still keep the admiral position. I believe the world government will not let Sword members be admirals. Because the admiral is to obey the orders of the Heavenly Dragon and obey the world government, the members of Sword refuse to. Second, the admiral's power is too great. The admiral can issue the Buster's Call command. It was Aokiji who gave Spandam Khan Den Den Mushi Gold to do it, no one else. With such power, if the admiral is not bound, who can control them? If Kuzan were to join the Sword, he could mobilize the Buster Call to fight the Yonko, breaking the balance that the government wants to maintain. So an admiral had only two options to submit or leave. Kuzan chose option 2. Garp calls the Kobe team the future of the Navy because he expects them to do what his and Kuzan's generation failed to do. Change Navy to fight any pirate crew. Kuzan did not join the Sword with him as an admiral, so he left the Navy and wandered around to become a wanderer, but the cause remained unchanged. The proof is the saying, Smoker, I'm still me. At that time, there were only two people. Indeed Aokiji had no reason to deceive him. Vice admirals like Smoker did not have much value to take advantage of but had bad intentions. I believe Kuzan hasn't lost his justice, but he has found many other ways to do his justice. Kuzan also has a desire to change the world, because he doesn't care who he cooperates with, also as long as that person can help me fulfill my ideal. That's why Kuzan went to the underworld and joined the Blackbeard Pirates, who claim that Aokiji joined the revolutionaries and is spying for Dragon. Most of the time are fans of this former admiral. I'm not a fan of Aokiji, but like you guys, I don't believe he's really a pirate. However, Kuzan is not a revolutionary either. By the title I said he doesn't completely follow any organization, all for the sake of being able to have a meeting between Monkey D. Dragon and Aokiji, but the two sides could not find a common voice. Anyway, the purpose of the Navy is still to protect the future of people. Dragon's father taught Kuzan, but Dragon wants to overthrow 5 dragons. Way is basically different. In the flashback in chapter 187, Garp gets angry and tells Kuzan about his son becoming a revolutionary, but Kuzan doesn't care much for the revolution, as even Garp doesn't support his son. Regardless of background and not having to drag rafts, have fun, but everyone has different goals, work together to achieve that is Teach's words to lure Kuzan. And the two sides have found common ground, but the great philosopher Doflamingo often said, the face of a simple wanderer and a man who decides everything on his own, his heart is not the same as his heart, accompanied by a smile, sinister smile. Perhaps Dofai understands Kuzan well, although he is a villain, but Doflamingo has a lot of good sayings. He also has a rich life due to working with many forces from the government, Navy, Yonko, and the underworld. In chapter 699 Doflamingo asks, what are you going to do now, Kuzan? That's the news that Kuzan shook hands with Teach. Dofai knows this, but he also knows Kuzan is a wanderer. Decide for yourself what to do is not a subordinate of Blackbeard. If he starts to grow up, he will leave or even rebel. A former admiral with a sense of justice, how can he cooperate with pirates like Blackbeard? Doflamingo really has a keen eye for people. Thanks to him I discovered this secret. Kuzan is really not serving any organization. He has a reason to shake hands with Teach. There are some arguments that make me think that Garp and Kuzan are acting together, specifically the following 3 details. First up is the talk and the latest chapter 1088. Kuzan asks about Garp's injury. Even expressing concern, Garp stated that he was still very weak, meaning that Kuzan thought he could beat Garp, but he was still fast and strong. But the concern for his former teacher in front of the pirates shows that Aokiji is not completely far from falling. The second detail, Kuzan does not continue to hunt Kobe and the group when Aokiji's enemies run to the sea, is an act of suicide. Jinbe also once hugged Luffy and ran to the sea thinking he could swim fast and escape, but maybe Jim's underwater speed is as fast as Aokiji's speed of freezing the sea, but Kuzan is faster than waiting for Jinbe to hug Luffy. If you dive down and then freeze it, defrosting is tiring too. Yet Garp thinks Kobe and the others can really run. When he ordered them to run at full speed to run away from Hakanosu and hung up, Aokiji hated the ice spear in the old teacher's chest. He also heard what he said, but time doesn't chase. If you like Aokiji can completely use flash to chase them. Remember the Sea King frozen tens of kilometers in the blink of an eye to help the old man go home. Kuzan's ice took 7 days to melt. Aokiji only needs to speed up to freeze there, soon catch up with them, but he spares Kobe because that was Garp's wish. Maybe Garp also guessed that Kuzan wouldn't chase, because he was stay to replace Kobe. I'm not asking Garp and Aokiji to collude before, but the scenario will be that Kuzan went to see his master, telling him that he planned to leave the Navy and change the world in his own way. At first, Garp objected, so when he met the resident in Hakanosu in chapter 1088, he told Kuzan to quickly drag his ass over here and put on a Navy shirt and accompany him to take Kobe out of Hakanosu. Whether it was their son joining a revolution or their grandchild becoming a pirate, initially, Garp vehemently opposed both decisions. However, in light of the achievements they attained, Garp showed immense pride. The truth is different. He only wanted his descendants to do good and help people, regardless of the means they chose to do so. The same goes for his students. Perhaps Garp didn't support Kuzan's collaboration with Blackbeard, but he secretly cheered him on. The evidence is when they faced each other, and Kuzan hesitated, Garp shouted, "Listen, Kuzan, only the weak hesitate." Kuzan had once revealed his intentions to Garp, similar to the conversation he had with Smoker. However, when he had to face his mentor, he hesitated, forcing Garp to teach his foolish disciple one final lesson. Garp's meaning was, Kuzan, if that is the path you have chosen, then you must not hesitate anymore. You must act, even if your opponent is anyone, including me. By the time Kuzan had mastered the technique, and the two were about to punch each other in chapter 1087, Garp finally said, that foolish student of mine, deep down, still considers Kuzan an outstanding disciple, no matter what foolish path he has chosen. As long as he doesn't lose his sense of justice, it's enough. At the end of chapter 1088, maybe it was thanks to his high Hinomi ability that people didn't notice that Kuzan was crying because he had just killed his most respected teacher, but it was his choice. Garp also told not to do it. Attend. Garp himself used his life to protect the future of the Navy while also helping Kuzan gain the trust of the Blackbeard Pirates, a play with no script but both actors play very well. Great, Teach will pay a very heavy price in the not-too-distant future. But the goal that Kuzan is aiming for has a common path with Tiak. Blackbeard wants to rule the world and Kuzan wants to change the world in his own way. The common point is to overthrow the current regime, so Kuzan has just cooperated with Teach. One thing is for sure, Aokiji won't let the Blackbeard achieve his goal. Kuzan is aiming for a world he thinks is better. If let a pirate rule it turn the world into a mess. Crime raging went against Kuzan's wishes, so the two sides could only go a short distance. Whoever becomes the leader, as long as the world is better, maybe in the final battle Kuzan will side with Luffy, and after destroying all the Blackbeard and the Heavenly Dragon, he will leave tomorrow anonymously satisfied with the new era that my teacher has to sacrifice his life to protect. That's my whole theory. Thank you for watching the whole video. In the video there may be some mistakes, or inappropriate comments. You can leave your comments in the comments section below.